You today. I see that we have hi Glenn, hi Diane, hi Annette, hi Irene.
Yep.
And I think that that's everybody for right now. So guess what? You guys get to see this because we're starting at 4 o'clock. So you guys get to see the first crack at it, and then from there they have to catch up. So see, this is what happens when you make it on time. I feel like a teacher in a class. Oh, wait. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So this is what we have today. I'm going to show them to you two ways. One is the way that these are made. And then the other way is breaking them up a little bit. And those actually take a little bit more work on thinking them through. These have all the same kind of premise from the get-go when I make these four that I've already made. So I wanted to kind of give you a heads up that that's what we're going to do is run through one of these. And then if we run through one of these, you'll know how to do all four. Truly, truly. So then it means jump into something else that's fun. Okay, so our cards are from Symphony You Say collection, and they come in a hummingbird, a bee, a butterfly, and a fuchsia. And it comes with free downloads on the Tattered Lace website. I encourage you to go there if you have something that you're curious that you want to see. And I'm going to also say that if you want it all looking absolutely sharp, the best way to do it is going to be by, can't seem to find the right one. The best way to do it is either by using your printer if you have 300 DPI. You choose the best print that you can. And then if you find that you're just not happy with the colors or you think that you need something a little bit more, you can take your own cardstock so long as it fits inside the printers. I've done it at Staples. I've done it at FedEx. I've done it a few different places and asked if I can please just use my own cardstock to put it in when I want something that has a really nice print prior to replacing my printers. So this is how they print out. You'll have some extras on the side to give you some 3D imaging. They do have the Tattered Lace blur to them so that they will line up with the die and look perfect. I love how these look like they're already pre-inked, and it gives it a nice little bit of extra. This one is the butterfly one. And they come in a whole piece other than the extra ones that you see on the side. So this one says just for you. The hummingbird had 3 hummingbirds off on the side. Some of them have words, some of them have an actual print for you to give the 3D to. So I will tell you right now that all 4 of these will fit in your hand manual cut and go. It also will go through, of course, the electronic version. There are 2 different shapes. One is to make a European A6. This is the butterfly one. Doesn't really show much of anything on the other side, but you get the idea. These run through really simply. However, with the paper where it's at, you have to make sure that you cut whatever is your extras off and then try and measure out a good amount of space. This is how I do it. I just laid it right on top and I gave it maybe 1/4 of an inch on each side and just cut it. So then that way it would fit, it would line up just right. I'm showing you the butterfly and the hummingbird, but you get the idea. And then if you have the press, I don't want to say it wrong, the Go Press and Embossing machine from the same company that's the electronic version, you have the entire paper to be able to slide through in one go. So I always try and hand do these at home just in case there are those of you that aren't able to have the electronic machine at this time or don't have the electronic machine at this time. I just want to make sure they fit. So then that way everybody has the opportunity to get to them. Okay, so these wonderful little things come already shaped into a card. And I'm going to show you what they recommend, and then I'm going to show you that that's not what I recommend. So one of the things that they say is that you can just run it through your machine and call it good. And so that I think that I broke some of mine down. Yeah, here's one. That means that if you run it through the machine, this is what you'll have, and this is your card, which is great, and it's pretty, but I felt like it needed just something a little bit more. So I have, of course, done a little bit more. So here's this idea. So you can see straight through. It's not a problem. You can have this perfect this way. I found it to be, it felt flimsy to me because, of course, we've got to send our colors through the printer. So for me, I felt like my cardstock, it could be a little bit thicker, but then I'd have to go down and do it at the printer. And even then, sometimes it will get stuck if you have like 120 pound. The Hunky Dory, it has a nice, it prints perfectly through the printers, but it just, that's all that's holding it together is this little strap right here, and it's a bend. So my concern was it's going to break with time if it doesn't have some extra sturdiness. So what I did was I put it on the back of an actual card, give it that strength. It's just a plain 5.5 by 5.5 card. In fact, it might be a 5.25 by 5.25 on this one. And I added a piece of acetate onto this so that I could attach everything on, give that really, I mean, this is some fine detail, and it wiggles back and forth. So to give that a little bit more structure, I now have acetate here behind this clear one. And I still have my hinge in the same way, but because it's backed by acetate here and it's backed by a card here, you've now strengthened your hinge. So that was really the important part for me to do. Now you can open it and somebody can hold it that way, but what I really like is with it like this. I really think that that's neat as they open up the card. Hi, Mary R. Hi, Roberta. Did we miss anybody else in that process? So here we go. I'm going to show you how to do the acetate ones. These are all the acetate ones. They're right here. Okay, pretty. Now this one I put a backing on because the writing is white. So by putting it on the card, you won't see it. So I went ahead and I put on a backing paper onto my cardstock to do this one. And then this one became a 5.5 by 5.5 card. Okay. And then here is our hummingbird. I think that you guys saw these yesterday. So they sit up nice like this coming out of the envelope, and then as you open it, you can see it from different angles and directions, and I really think that that's a neat and fun thing to do. So that acetate and the card blank behind it are super important to give it the strength that we need. So with that said, this is my acetate one for butterflies. And I haven't decorated it quite yet. This is kind of almost in its original form. So I'm going to go ahead and throw on the extra little bits of design that I wanted to do onto this. It doesn't take much. It says just for you. I'm going to tell you that each card, I highly recommend that you plan on running your die cut twice because you're going to want those extra pieces to be in there and have, sorry guys, gotta cut it out. You want it to be in there, but you also want to give it some extra fluff. I'm going to do the hummingbird one with the acetate just so that we can start from start to finish and show you what I've done. But in this particular case, I went through and I used I think these are by duty. The number is MD355801. And they're a gold sticker that are butterflies. And I just put it over a couple of the pieces with the top. So now it's colored in my little butterflies and it gives it that fine look. And now I can make my butterflies a little bit more 3D with my little sticker. And what's neat is that they're clear. And I'll show you this again a little bit later when we do it. But they are clear going on, and except for the gold outline. So that makes it really nice. And I am using today my clear pillows for putting things and attaching things to cards. Last time I just went in and used best glue ever, but it meant that it didn't dry quite in time to be able to put together the finished product. So that is my goal today, is to give you the finished product.
Roberta's asking, is this going to be a new kit?
No, this is, so I will tell you right now, we should probably cover this now because this is a good time to do it. We have each of these dies in stock. We're not short on anything. And again, you can get your items from, you can get your printing parts from Tattered Lace itself. And if for some reason you're having trouble with being able to do that, all you have to do is give me a call or drop an email, and somebody will make sure that I get it if I'm not at work, and I can call you back and help you walk through it a little bit more. But it really is fairly simple. You go to Tattered Lace. They have a section that says free downloads, and you can write in their search section there. If you click on that one from their main site homepage, they'll go through and they will, you can type in your number that comes on the outside of your packaging. There's usually a 5-digit code on the back of most of them. Some of them have it on the front. But if you just type that in, you should be able to find it. And if you can't, you can still ask for Symphony. This is called, the collection is called Symphony You Say, and that also is on your package. So you'll want to go there for printing. Aw, I'm sorry. That makes it hard. Little babies, little baby kittens. So with these, you can print any of them. You can make any of them at any point in time. And that's what I like about these, because you can reuse them and reuse them. And these, being that they're already in this shape, do not take very long to make. So no kit. However, the fuchsias, we have 9 of them in stock. The butterflies, we have 8. The hummingbird, we have 7. Now, this was last time that I looked, which was Tuesday night. So if anybody jumped ahead and bought the dies, I do not know yet. I did not take that opportunity to look. But if you guys did jump ahead and purchase some dies, my numbers might be off a little bit. And then the bees there are 8. So there are several there to have. They're normally $45. And Debbie is giving a 35% off discount, so they're $29.25. And I am going to say that that sale will be on for a little while. My guess is going to be that she'll probably take it down after the weekend. So grab these dies, enjoy them, because when they're gone, because that's the way Tattered Lace is. They make only a certain amount. So depending on when you did this and purchase them from the actual company, that's it. They're gone within probably 25, 30 days at most. Okay. So how do you go through and actually attach one? So I have the making of one and with the acetate, and this is where we're going to just do that once. And then from that point forward, we're going to just keep going with the idea of how to make them other ways on their cards. So when you run it through the die, this is what you get. Got your flowers, you've got your hummingbird, and then there's a little section for you to be able to get the hummingbird, and he has a wing. And if you notice, he is not as full as this one is. So he is only this full. His back wing hangs right back there, which is nice. And so you want to do the same thing as we always do, except for that I think I forgot to grab the foam. So I'm going to use the back of Debbie's pad. I'm sure stamping platform. I'm sure she's going to love me for it, right? However, I did remember the ball. Okay, so we're going to go through and we're just going to do the same thing that we always do. You run with the direction of the lines or how you think that something should look in life. So I know that for hummingbirds, they look like they have a nice puffed up chest. So, and then a little bit here. And then I didn't want to damage their nose. So I'm gluing that one right directly back on to the hummingbird that we have. So there's one. And remember, I said you'll have to print two for each one. So if you print all of the hummingbirds, you technically have 6. I used 3, but you could puff it all up, and then this one would make 4. So you actually would have 4 little hummingbirds if you wanted to do it that way. But I am not going to do it exactly the same. Okay, then I have my 2 wings. I don't always put them in a lot, but then I have some other ones that I have to cut it just so that I can get that extra decoupage out of it. And specifically, the one that I'm thinking of right off the top of my head is the bee one. Now on these, when I did the acetate, I wasn't really thinking. And so I used sticky tape and I used my little puffers, our little pads, foam pad. And so I'm not sure that I like the look of that. But at this point, I already did it. So this is what we're going with. Okay, and I want this wing to pop out, and I want the tail feathers to pop out. And then I want to make sure that his head has a little puff. And because of how sticky these ones are, and due to time, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead and do the actual pillows again with the regular foam pads. So I've got the hobby journal. And I am going to foam up going to foam up one here. And actually, I totally spaced it, guys. I also have this one to do. And I don't do a lot of movement on the one that's inside as far as puffing up that last wing because we've got nothing to support it. But I have no problem in putting in my little foam pads. And think about it and how it would look, what makes it be the fullest. I really appreciate that they really take a look at the actual item that they're creating just to make sure that they have done what they need to make it look as realistic as possible. So I like that. So we've got that little hummingbird that puffs up, and we're going to save those two for the actual front of the acetate. So now I have this and this still. Before I'm done, I have to go through and also do my buds. And you can go through and rerun it and rework it with 2 prints. Remember, that's what I recommend for each of these. Because of time allotment, I'm not going to do all the flowers. They'll have the puff, but they won't have a second layer on them. But you absolutely can. Take your little ball and put it on any of the little tiny buds. Run those through. They can handle a little bit of sticking out, but still be able to glue it to your acetate as well. So your acetate goes over this side. So choose which ones that you want to have a nice little pillow on and where you want those to be. And I just put them in the center of each of my major flowers. Otherwise, it will stand up and still puff a little bit for some of these that are attached along the tight side. It's not quite as fluffy, but it will also at least give it a little bit more depth. And I won't do a secondary one on that one either if I had put it on acetate all the way around. So here we go. Right there. Isn't that pretty? So it's pretty, and we haven't even touched it yet. I mean, other than puffing it up a little bit. Okay, so here's where the acetate comes in handy. I did try gluing to see if that was going to be the best way to handle it. And it didn't seem to like the glue, but it does like the finger lift tape. So the glue, and I was using Cosmic Shimmer. I tried a couple of other glues just to see if it would do any better, and it just wasn't interested in helping me out. So I'm just going to put on a little bit of finger lift tape. And in this particular case, you really don't need to take off all of these things on the back because they're all going to be smooshed up against this acetate anyways. So if you find that it starts to bend or pull, you can always lift it and fix it. But honestly, I found that it worked quite well. You do want to make sure that you get your acetate just a little bit smaller than the card front, because if you don't, then you won't have the ability to fold the card back and forth. So make sure that you get it on nice and snug. Now you've got your little pillows in there. Everything's sitting nice, and now I've got a much stronger surface to work on. So this is what I did. I went through and I used my hummingbirds. My acetate. So here's my base one. I wasn't as happy with this guy's color on the outside, and so I decided to reprint them. And to me, it makes a really big difference. So sometimes my printer was almost out of ink. And so I asked Debbie, I said, Debbie, can I come print over here? And I've been waiting for the ink to come in the mail, and it hasn't arrived. So what you want to make sure that you do next is slide the little hummingbird in and line him up with the one that's inside. See that? Okay. So you're going to just slide him on in, and then you are going to do it again. If you want to, you can slide another one in here and make it really raised, or you can put it back in here like that.
Mary's asking for a link to these dies.
Yeah, so they're Tattered Lace, and and it is, one of the codes is 455706. And so that is 2 of them. So I'm not sure how she has them listed other than that, but I can give you the name number for most of them.
Get these links.
Okay, and after having a check-in with Debbie on Thursdays, we are going to just keep doing Thursdays. I'm going to keep doing Thursdays for the next couple of weeks, and then from there, I'm going to help once a month with a Thursday. Then that way, that helps her not have to do so much. What that means is, though, that we just got to keep going with the new things. So I will bring a Tattered Lace in every once in a while that we still have. And that will be fun. But we also have some neat things that are coming up for the spring. And so I'm eager to share them because they are sounding so cool. Okay. And what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to make poor Bryce hang out and stay with me on Thursdays, and we'll do a few Margie makes and put them up and connect them with a Facebook link. And then that way, some of these items that we've missed, that's all that you can always come back, look at Facebook, get the link, and go, or just go right onto YouTube and look from there. Okay. Here, and I almost put it in the wrong place. Here, I've got the double with the puff. Since it is sitting behind, I don't want too much craziness going in there, or else it's not going to want to close. So what you do is that you run the rest of them. So I have now put on 2 sets of the first actual wing of the hummingbird, and then I put on 2 more. And those wings are part of your hummingbirds when you cut those extra 3 plus the one that you run through your die set for the card shape. From there, we take it and we put it on the front of a card. Now, you can choose to layer and get it to be within the card. It is not quite a European A6. It's a little bit smaller, but it's also about an 1/8 of an inch wide, bigger, but about 1/4 of an inch for the other, for up and down. I want to show you right here that when you do put this in your card, this has a tendency to kind of want to move a little bit just because it is a hinge. So you just want to make sure that when you do put this back here and you glue it down, by the way, I wouldn't do your tape just because of the amount of movement that that card's going to get and the support that it would need. So when you do this, just make sure that you've got that hinge where it needs to be tucked in and behind. And then when you're done, you can cut off your edges. So coming on the back of the card, you'll want the first part of the hinge. Haha, I thought this through ahead of time. I have a pin ready to go. Each time I do this, I've learned more and more what it is that I need to do that slows down for time for me. So hopefully it will go nice and easy. I'm also going to take off the hummingbird pillows. I didn't do it anywhere else, but in this particular spot, I'm going to use the hummingbird pillows and make sure that you get perfectly around your frame because that's going to be snug in there. So pillows off the back one. It will help it stick against the card better, give you the space that you need. If you want to, you can also glue your words. I've tried doing it a couple of different ways, and I really have found that I don't find it necessary for getting the words down. But if you want to go ahead and glue it, that is totally something that you can do. Hey, look at that. I was going to put it on upside down. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now from here, I used a Wink of Stella on this one to give it that shimmer. But stickles are a great addition as well. And you can go through and put your centers with some gems in it. That would be a nice way to do that too. So I'm just taking off the extra. And like I said, you can layer that with a backing paper like I did with the fuchsia one. Because of how I like that it sat better. But it's not necessary. You can just cut and use your white as your backup. So this is how you do all the acetates. And when I say all the acetates, I mean it. Every single one of these that I gave you an example of are just, excuse me, they're the top layer with the back layer on a cardstock with acetate in between. So there's that one. And once you do these, you're going to go, wow, these are pretty quick. They won't take a lot of time, and they don't. I really enjoyed doing these. They're a lot of fun, and they're super cute for spring. And so that being said, when I ventured out on this one, I knew that I wanted to venture out and actually make different cards without using the hinge part. I wanted to do it in a couple of different ways so that we could see what different things we can get, so it's not always the same. Okay, so fuchsia. And on this one, I used the crystal accents, glossy accents, 3D. They're called various different kinds. So we've got a few different ones out there. And I took, in this particular die, it empties out all these little honeycombs. So I thought, oh, hey, that's super cute. Look at those little honeycombs in there. So with this one particularly, we have the honeybees on the front that come with it, as you can see here. I added some of the little honeycomb areas, and then I put some glossy accents on those and on where it kind of looked like a little splash of honey got left by the bees around the outside. I then took my extra, so I want to be really clear on this. I ran the die twice. So I took my extra and I cut them out and put them on the flowers on the inside. I tried to match them up as best as I could on their hinges. And so then I turned around and I did the exact same thing as we did with the hummingbird, where we put, in this particular case, both the bee on the outside and on the inside. And I use glossy accents on all of their wings. I also took what was left when I was cutting everything out for this one and for this one. I had extra bees, so I just cut them out because bees are always everywhere, right? So I've got some extra little bees hanging out in my background, and it makes it really fun. So there you go.
Mary says you could use the honeycomb for a shaker too.
Yes, you could. Absolutely. Absolutely. You'll want to make sure that you'll want to make sure that you've got an acetate with a backing on this one. So you can't have that through piece to it, just because it will catch on this in the back unless you put it between two things of acetate, and those stick together a little bit, so they're harder to maneuver. So you'll want to make sure that you create your acetate pillow and then build it up with your foam for the outside, like we do with any topper card, in order to make that shaker card happen, which means you're cutting off the hinge in the back. You can always add it to the back like this and use that, and then put your shaker behind. So there's lots of ways that you can do this. And that's exactly what we're moving into right now.
Question: how do you use glossy accents, and what does it do?
So I can show you. I can just show you. It will have to be the last thing that I do on a card, because it is one of those things that takes a while to dry. It almost gives it a little bit of a magnifying look to it, and not because it's got magnifiers, but it just gives it more of a 3D. So here we have my little bee. So here's all so this one I ran through twice. Here are all my little bees. I've already cut them out. And I'm just going to put them on this piece of acetate so that I don't lose them all, because in this particular case, we're not going to use the acetate. And we're not going to use the hinge. So pray tell, what are we going to do?
Oh, please.
Okay, so I have a 6.5 by 6.5 regular card. And I'm going to go through here. And this is from our craft consortium, Tell It to the Bees. I love this black that they have. I also have it in the light color.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. And I really like bees. And I want to encourage you, and I almost did it, but then chose not to because it meant me taking a little bit more time trying to find it. But if you haven't seen it yet and you like bees, Find It Trading has an acetate version with background papers and a lot of fun little things in the pack for, I want to say it's $3.50, maybe $4, but I don't think that it's $5. Anyways, it gives you acetate with some sayings and lots of fun stuff. So We're going to just take it like any other time. Apply it to our card. Finger lift tape. All the goodness. And then from here, I already had an extra piece of this backing piece, so that's why I already have extra flowers cut, and I have the extra honeycomb and the little bees over here on my piece of acetate. So in this particular case, I've got 2 full ones already done. And the reason why is because I want to cut my bees out of here like I did for the other one. So I'm just going to show you the exact same thing that I did before. We're going to come in here. And cut them out. And then this is normally where you would end up with your extra bees from. So you just cut them out after you've run it through your die. Just cut these little guys out and they become these little extra bees. Isn't that sweet? So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and leave my bees as is. But I'm taking off my hinge because that's just giving me some extra bulk that I don't need. And since we know that it goes this far, I just cut the whole thing right like this because we know that it backs right up to that. You don't even have to measure. You just follow approximately where the hinge line is. Now, what I like about these is that if I show you on a white card, what I like about these is the outer is just a tiny bit larger than the inner. So a lot of times if you get it just right, with just the right piece, you can actually see the frame through the frame, if that makes any sense. This one does not have as much of a frame through a frame, but your flower does run out into that frame. When you see it with the acetate, like here, you're going to see a frame within a frame, and you'll see a little bit more of this as we keep going in a couple of the other ones. So here are my 2 pieces, and I'm just going to directly add them on. And I'm doing it with some foam tape just because it will make it so quick and so easy. Now, you can, and I probably should, before I do this, I should probably give the bees themselves a little bit of puff in their bodies. And then we're going to put the other bees that I just cut out right on top. And you can even go through and your little bees that are here, you can actually rub them out just a little bit because they actually poke out from the card, which is so sweet. So, foam tape. And this is the perfect place for doing your shaker card idea too, because you can put acetate right in there behind it and it will make a nice shaker card. And honestly, I'm just doing these because it makes it fast and easy for us to do the extras. Puff up the bees. And sometimes you won't quite get, it might be a little bit too small. This one fits just about perfect. So I was getting ready to say, be really careful that you pay attention to the fact that it will fit inside. Because that has had to happen where I've cut them in half. And there's one somewhere. I don't remember which one. So I'm going to put these little guys on first. Line them up with your other bees. And see how that's just going to fit right in behind there? So I'm going to take advantage of it, and I think I'm going to just put a little bit of extra off the sides. So then that way I can take advantage of the foam. Okay, so the other part is keep track of where your top and your bottom is, because if you don't, you will get confused about where it's at. Now you could put on a little honeycomb shaped black piece behind it like this and then put it on here onto the paper, but I found that it had enough black in it that it just made it pop out without having to do that. But somebody, if you like it that way, then don't hesitate to do it that way. Okay, just one of these. Alrighty. Oh, yes, that glossy accent dries right out and is clear. Thank you guys for catching the question and answering it for me. I appreciate that. Okie dokie. So here are little bees, and you've now used both the front and the back area to be able to show your both layers. You can put your just because out front, but at this point I'm actually cutting it out of here because I want my just because on the inside. So you cut it off of here. And I wait to do it until the very end of the front of the card, just because I'm not sure if everything is going to line up the way that I want it to. Did I get the right space? So on and so forth. Now from here, this is one part of it. From here, you get to go through and you get to decorate it however you want. So that always makes it fun when you get to have different items that you can use. So one of them is to come in here with the other background flower, and you can put it up here and put it over here with the little guy. You just have to decide which way you like it the best. And then I am going to glue on the opposite corner a few of our little honeycombs. I did make my honeycombs puffy, but for the sake of time, I will not be making them puffy. And I just started in a corner and worked my way through. Just try and line them up where you can. Okay, I think that way looks pretty good. I want to keep the flowers with a little bit of extra.
I mentioned that Stickles has a clear one that doesn't have glitter, but it's hard to find. And Mary's asking, does Debbie sell it?
No, not the clear ones. The typically it's been the crystal accents or the glossy accents. And to be honest with you, I don't know that I've looked recently to see which one she's used the most. Or I should say it currently has on sale in the store, because sometimes these things change. Sometimes people will change their mind on what they want to focus their time on. So all of a sudden we have a we have a shortage of what we're looking for. So the clear, actually, I should actually say it's a clear lacquer that we use the most, Bryce. It should be in one of those little drawers in our carousels.
Crystal accents?
It's like a crystal lacquer, or there's a couple. One's blue, one has blue writing, one has purple writing. And either one will do the trick for these. And I do know that we have those in the store. I like it that way because then I'm not using so much and opening it at once. So this is 3D crystal lacquer. It gives you a glossy finish and helps keep it in a 3D. You can feel the top of it. So I will put it on and we'll set this card aside. Since it's our first one, you can see where I put it, and then does it make a difference for you? Do you like what that looks like? I'm going to take my little bee and put him right on my flower. I did use sticky specks for a lot of the places that have words. In this particular case, I was trying to do it the quickest way possible while I was here. And so this as well, just follow your lines and you'll find your way. Okay, so inside, I have a 5.5 or a 6-inch 6x6 of the little book of the Tell It to the Bees. And let's see. They go every which direction, so there's no right or wrong on this, which is so nice. It's nice to not have to worry about that. Because then I won't make the horrible mistakes that I sometimes make by putting them on the wrong way. But this one goes right in time. Okay, and if I don't do the glossy accents, when I'm done with the inside, remind me and we'll do it, because this is going to be the best place to use it. Okay, so here's I thought this would be fun. This is on the back of the Tell It to the Bees paper that is black with the flowers that I just used for the front. And on the back, they have these adorable little hives. I have a little piece for my just because. Nope, wrong. Yeah, there we go. There's the hive. I don't want the flowers. I just want the hive. I'm like, I just put it on the wrong one. But I didn't. We were good. Okay. And then the last little thing other than the words are to put my flowers in a couple places on the inside too. So I cut out a couple of the hives, fussy cut them through, give it a little bit more ability to stand out. Okay. Okay. And let me see. Got this little guy for its extras. So I'm going to use it to my advantage, and this is where sticky specs comes in handy. But if you don't have sticky specs, you can go through, and we've got these in stock. They're called two-way glue. I'm not sure which tip we currently have, but if you get it going, it doesn't take the requirement of everywhere. We also have the Nuvo pins, so we've got a fine and a fat and a medium. But if you do it when it's wet, it will stick and bond permanently to the paper. If it dried too fast, it will not do as good of a stick process. So you can always retouch it up. I did this a couple of times with the dragonflies because they have a big word that says with love. And so I did exactly what you're seeing here. I did it once, put it down, and then from there I went through and just dotted it where I needed it. Okay. Whoop. And we have one more flower right here. And now you've taken your hinge really quick and easy card and just really heightened it up quite a bit in my book, but then I'm kind of biased because I made it. Oh, that was horrible, guys. That is not how I meant to say it. It just really, I like the fact that it, that you can use it in two different ways to just make a really easy, run it through the die, put a couple of layers on it, or you can do it this way. And let's put those glossy accents on. Isn't that cute? Let's see, since I know that we have the lacquer one for sale. We use them with our bow pins. So if you remember, right, when we do bow making, this is the same kind of stuff that we also used it when we did our clockwork. Debbie used it, and I think that I used it as well for some of the other, like the little gears. Wherever we had a gear, we'd pop a little bit on so that it would really stand out. I'm pretty positive. And then you can stickles up in other areas. And I absolutely took the time to do the wings. It's thick, so I went ahead and I just made it sit throughout. I used stickles on the dragonfly wings, but I used this on the bee wings. So I'll show you what the difference is by the time that we're done. Okay, so there we have it. And look, it already looks, and it will stay this clear color. Because it's printer paper, it's going to absorb some of that ink color into it. So don't be surprised if it seems like a brighter color than your other spots. That's why it works so well, is because it makes it really shine. There's no cloud to it. It's already clear for this kind, but the other ones do dry clear from being cloudy. So that is our first one. Now let me see if I can just quickly clean up a little bit around here. This is the problem. I never know where my cleanup should really be, because then I make another mess. Okay. Now, since I'm not using the bees anymore, I'm just going to send them on their way over here with all their extras. And you will have extras, so save them, put them in a Ziploc bag. I don't know how you store your dies specifically, but I have found that I like to store them in little sleeves So then that way, if I have something that I need, that I want to save, like extra papers that I've already printed out, then they just go right into that little spot. Okay, here is my version of dragonflies. This is, and I used this for the background. I felt like it was just perfect for what I needed for my backing. This is a Craft Perfect, and I think it's called Leaves, if I remember right, green leaves. And it's got a little bit of a shimmer of gold to it, and then the green that stands behind it. And I liked the colors that it brought out. So there's some technicalities to the dragonflies that it takes a little bit of work. So bear with me because I'll have to explain a little bit of it. So the first thing that you need to do is take your little fuchsias, and you're going to see where it's going to end up on your card on the front. And the reason why is because we want to make sure that we get it, number one, on the right side, because I set it up for you upside down, but that we're going to get it in the center. And I used our little lines. This one has flowers and beads on it, but there's stars and other things on this sticker. And this sticker is number 3, and it's the Cray design, and I think that it's set up under star form, and its number is 61.7902. So I love this one. I use this one pretty frequently. I used it with the daisies for the pinewood party. And I just tried to find a space. So if you look here, I cut them off here because I measured approximately how tall my card was. And then I went from there to use them. And then I just kind of gave them a spacing that looked about right. And if you notice at the bottom of my card, I left them here for you to see because they're peeking out the bottom. So it just means lifting it up a little bit, and you've got the ability to be able to cut it. If it helps you, you can take a ruler to make sure that you keep them straight. But I really don't think that it's necessary to do that. I think you can eyeball it and make it easy for yourself. And because you can always come in, just don't cut it too short. I would much rather have it a little bit longer and have to come in and cut it than have it be too short, because lining those lines up is difficult. Okay, so here's my first fuchsia. I'm going to take it, and let's take a peek at what it actually looks like with this. So we've got our fuchsias. I took some of the dragonflies and cut them off and put them on the front of this one. And we're going to do the same kind of thing because this was a 3. These are the 3 actual dragonflies, and they're all going the same way, if you notice. So on this card, it bothered me enough that I had to change it up. So I will show you what I did. So here's our first bit, our little fuchsias. We're going to just puff up the fuchsias, bells, and I can't wait for it to get warm enough to go down. And I'm going to give a prompt here. If you happen to be in Oregon area and you haven't found them, down outside of Woodburn is a green a flower growing. It's mainly used as wholesale, but they will open their doors in April and May, and I think they've started doing it into June now too. But they will open their doors for you, and it's called Fessler's Nursery. I've been going for forever. They make the most beautiful fuchsia baskets, and it's unbelievable. I love them, love them, love them. So right about this time of year, I start going, oh, when can I go down? But it's going to be too cold for me to go down and do that anytime soon. Okay. Foamies. On they go. And I put a foamy in the top little leaf area, and I put a foamy in the middle of the bigger leaves. And I just let these other two that are a little bit smaller and these little pieces that stick out, I just let them kind of shine on their own. Do you guys have any questions? Roberta, that's a good recommendation. It different ones, they'll hold up so solidly that you may need to take it, and if you put it onto your card, there are some that if you notice that when you put on your glossy accents or your crystal lacquer, any of those 3D accents, some of them are thicker, and if they are too thick and it doesn't seem like it's spreading over the area that you thought, don't keep adding because it will take forever to dry. Instead, if it's really not moving, you can take this and hang it over and just bang it a couple of times until you get it. It usually will flow to the area where it starts to drop, and you can see that if you do it from that direction instead of putting too much on, because then it really does make it harder. So this last Monday, I went through and I thought, okay, I'm going to go through and find the projects that I didn't have the opportunity to finish, and do those. And I was pretty amazed. Are these dies paired with printouts from Tattered Lace? I mean, where did you get the matching papers? So you mean for the dies, these parts, they're from Tattered Lace. It's in the free downloads. Any other papers are just, I used things that I know are in the store for backgrounds or for anything else. So backgrounds, extra pieces. The mermaid tail is what I used, and it's a Craft Perfect for the fuchsia the first time around. And then this is also Craft Perfect with the fuchsia this time around. Mm-hmm. This one, I should have stuck to my guns and done the tape flag. Okay, there we go. Isn't that pretty? Now watch what happens when you do the next part, because it's fun to be able to do all these extra goodies with these. Again, it will take you printing out 2 to make 1 card. And it's not difficult at all. It really isn't. You'll be amazed. So because these are already set up to pop out, you've got these little lines, and I don't know how well I can show them, but if you look right up in here, they're just barely hanging on. So if you go through and you cut along each of those lines, you will have the entire thing out, just like when we've done our magazines through Tattered Lace. And I'm cutting out all the fuchsias. And if you wanted to get extra fancy, you could do and print up 3 of them instead and make a 3rd layer. But in this particular case, time allotment is not going to let me do that today. Okay. Keep those leaves down and just make your fuchsia little pillows out of its bells and out of the leaves itself. Give it another thing of foamies. I will say that these dies come out very easily. When you run them through, they've kept it simple enough that every once in a while you have to use a cardstock piece to do it as a shim, use it as a shim. But that seems to be, for me, the butterfly one that I have to use the shim in. The rest of them don't usually require any shimming. It also is going to depend upon your machine. So that's something that is important to know. Okay. And for timing, I recommend that I'm putting on just the foamies, but I recommend that you run back. I'm going to be running back through and putting just a little bit of glue underneath some of these little stem lines, the little bell pieces, and gluing them down, because I don't want them to bend and wear with time. I mean, somebody has to kind of abuse them a little bit that you're giving the card to for it to bend those up. But at the same time, it's also paper, so it can have a little bit of moisture, and that'll do it. So I'm just lining them right over the top. I'm giving it a 2nd layer. And then, like I said, I'm going to glue those down a little bit later, but for timing, we're just going to move on from here. Okay, so on the inside, I want my saying to happen. And right here along the frame, you will be able to cut out a scalloped edge. So bear with me because it takes a minute or 2, and I'm going to be off screen to do it so I can see it. So this is the other side of it. It says "with love." You've got the dragonflies. I had one cut, but it didn't quite match up the way I was hoping that it would. Now, with these, you have the "with love" in the middle, as well as you can cut out words. So in this particular case, because of how many dragonflies are in here, and that the dragonflies only go one direction, I actually ran 3 of these through in order to make the amount of dragonflies that I wanted to sit in here. And so I thought, well, why not give my words a little bit of extra oomph as well? So rather than it accidentally, the glue lifting up, or it's very wispy with love and it's beautiful. So I want to make sure that I keep it as nice as I possibly can. So I layered up about 3 layers of my with love. We've done it before with dies, like the happy birthday when Debbie did the Jamie Sparkles on the acetate. She used happy birthday and built it up a few times with a little bit of glue. I use Sissy Specs. And honestly, if I knew where they were at in this exact moment, I would grab them and use them. But it was not on my list of things to find in the office. So that's what happens when you're doing classes. I don't have as much time to spend doing cleanup. And it's starting to show, isn't it, Bryce?
Yes, it is.
Trust me, it's difficult. All you have to do is ask any of them, they'll know. Debbie, I went to an in-person, the mica class with the butterflies, and I told Debbie, I said, I'm not working, just so you know, I'm just coming to play.
That worked for you.
Yeah, well, there were things to be done, and it was a huge mess by the time that we were through, and I so wanted to clean it, but I was also so tired, and and I said, well, I will come back and I will clean this up, I guess, or maybe I should put it away. Debbie said, just walk away. Just walk away. We can do it later. So I did it later, but it still isn't perfectly cleaned up. Not that it's dirty either. I want to make sure that I don't imply that we have a dirty shop. We just have paper and extra goodies around. And I have some extra goodies to show you for next week. It is not put together yet. We kind of came up with a plan of action for this month and what we were going to do. So I have to show you what's coming starting next week. It's going to be a 2-week video just because it is a Thursday, so we're supposed to move a little bit faster along and not keep you too long. So we're going to break it up, because normally, kind of like the calla lilies last week, that would normally be a Saturday class. And all right, so I've cut it out and I've glued the entire back. I glued because I've got more and more layers to go on. Okay. So here's my with love that I've layered up a couple of times. I've got a couple of dragonflies that were already on the base, but I'd used that butterfly on another one. So let me make sure that I've got enough butterflies for the out that I did. Yes, we're good. So this one is going to give me my little bit of layer for my dragonfly. I said butterfly, didn't I? Mm-hmm. If I told this story already, then I apologize, but I don't think that I have. So as I'm gluing this off camera, because you can't see, this is how conversations with Debbie and I went during the time that she was having a fuzzy brain. I call it a fuzzy brain, COVID brain, foggy brain, any of those work. She had a little bit of fogginess due to anemia, but the COVID kind of really kicked it into gear. And she was flustered, and I can totally understand that. I get flustered with my brain trying to do different things. So this is the way that the conversation went for us. Now, keep in mind, we were saying things like, we're going to put that thing with the thing, because neither one of us could come up with words. So around that time, it was the Aquarelle, and you guys had such pretty pieces in there. And we were talking, and I said, so did you put those snapdragons on there that way? And I totally forgot that that's what I said. And it didn't click immediately either. I was pretty positive that I'd said something wrong, but I wasn't sure exactly what I said wrong. I've taken 2 dragonflies from the inside. I've cut them and layered them up a little bit more solidly so that the wings can stand up and handle it. I glued them together already. So now I'm going to glue the bottom of the dragonfly to the front and give him a little bit of oomph. So I said, I really love those snapdragons. They turned out so pretty. And nothing. And then I kind of look at Debbie, and she looks at me. And around the time that I said snapdragons, I love these snapdragons, and it took us both a pause. And when I say a pause, it wasn't like a 10-second pause. It was a 30-minute. She's looking at me, I'm looking at her. She knew what I was talking about, which is just scary all in all. And as Bryce nods his head. And she said, didn't you just call dragonflies snapdragons? And I said, yes, I did. Because what else am I going to say? And here's my last little snapdragon. See, now I'm doing it again. Dragonfly. And he's going to go up here. And just remember, like I mentioned, in order to get this many dragonflies and to get the different layers, we had to I had to cut 3 of these
Roberta suggests that
cards.
we should make a cookbook using G45 Bola cherry paper.
I saw that. I am not opposed to that either, and that is a great idea. I don't know if that's possible, but we can definitely look into it, and I will pass it along. So on these guys, when I made them here, I used the stickles on them instead of the glossy accents on their wings. I really liked it on the dragonflies. Dragonflies typically are around water, so it always seems like they have such great reflections anyways. So I just put them on, and I'm using the twinkle stickles because of the blue that's in it. I wanted to try and pull from some of those areas, and it is clogged.
Mary R says crystal lacquer on the dragonfly wings would be pretty.
It is. I put it on the bees when we did it, so you can see the difference between the two. Well, this one is clogged, so we may have to go with a totally different plan. This is still twinkle. Let's see if this one's clogged. Nope. And then I recommend that you guys try a few of the pearls. You can try using some of the pearls that we have in the store. I use some gold stickles just to kind of give it a little bit of a pop on the top of the fuchsia. And this is the difference between the two. You don't see the with love because that's part of that hinge, but when you go in, you then have with love on the inside. You can color your words in a different color using some ink, and have that. Okay, what are we looking for time? It is 5:30 right now. So how far did I get? I got the hummingbird, and the hummingbird with the acetate. And then I have a butterfly one to do. And I will tell you right now, if you want, I will finish the butterfly. But the other hummingbird is truly just kind of the same type. The goal is to have this on the outside, and then just on the inside of the card, I cut out the word, "You are the sweetest flower." And I'm leaving the other hummingbirds on the front, not any on the inside. So that one is pretty self-explanatory. All right, some of you may have these, some of you may not. We're going to hide that I made a really big mistake there. I tried with markers, it did not work. But we have these craft style scalloped butterflies. There are not many in the store. And so because of that, I was trying to, prior to now, find out how many people really would like to have some of these. They are $7.99 for a pack of 10. And I have 2.5 packs left. So that would mean that we could only sell 2 packs for $7.99. So I thought it's really quick and easy to be able to break these up into 5 packs for $4 instead. And then that would give us 5 packs total. So that it will allow you guys to stretch a little bit further. So if you really like this and you want to try it, let me know. And before the end, if I hear from enough people, that means 5, that would like to have them broken up, then I will break them up and put them online within, let's say 30 minutes after we're done. So I'm going to go through here really quick. I'm just going to show you what I did because it's a lot of fun. So on the butterfly ones, if you see, I've got lots of different butterflies and they're so pretty. And so I thought, what can I do that's going to give me something that will make it stand out a little bit more? And so I took 3 different colors in the Prism Shimmer colors. And so these are either ones that you already have in stock in your home because you have purchased them before. They are not available for purchase anymore. But we have our distress inks as well, and they will do the same kind of job. So I encourage you to give that a try. Okay, so I have a couple of different purples, and then I have a pink. And I take my little blender brush. You would have received one in your bear kit, in the Studio Light Bear that we made not very long ago. And you just lightly cover over the area that you see the butterfly in. And then if there's a body, I'm going to take my Nuvo glitter pen and I am going to fill out the body part with that, with a little bit of glitter. And it turns out so pretty. So you are just going through Don't make it with a heavy hand. If you make it with a heavy hand, it will not come out as you would hope. I was thinking that I could do it with the marker, but I couldn't. So hence the reason for the mistake over there to the side. Okay, so here's my pinks. You could leave it just plain white too if you wanted to, but I really wanted to get some of these extra colors in there. And that's my darkest color, so gotta wait. So you start with your lightest first, and then you work your way down to the darkest color. So you can always, if the ink is washable, you can always clean it off on your hand. It's pretty amazing how this works to keep it in the same color line. It's pretty neat as you go from light to dark and the different colors you can pull from.
Mary says the brush makes it look softer too.
Yes, it does. Gives it that airy feel. Absolutely. And if you notice, they are a little different in color. There are 3 different ones here. I think that in the Distress Oxide, the Kitsch Flamingo would be a perfect color for this. And by not using a flat, fine tip Sharpie for the antenna and the body, I think that it also keeps it very soft. And it doesn't take a lot of pressure. Now, by doing this, you will find that your butterflies from the actual card will get lost. So I've got a backing to go through where the butterflies have the print. Then that way we're not losing one butterfly for another, but it sure does make a really pretty outline. And you can make them darker. I was able to fiddle with them and make them lighter, darker. You'll see that I was a little bit more heavy. Heavy's the right word with the butterflies, but I wanted it to really show up on camera. I think in the last one I used more of the light pink than any of the other colors, and that also made it a little bit softer. Okay, so here we have it. All of our pretty little butterflies in a row. it just made it, I just thought it was really, really pretty. And then, like I said, got the Nuvo marker pen. You go through and you just do the body and the antennas. And a couple of these, they have feet like this one. Mm-hmm. And you can use your glitter markers wherever you really want. I'm just going to use them along the edges because I know that a lot of them won't necessarily, body parts you won't necessarily see everywhere. Okay. I think that will do the trick. And let's see. I used our matte adorable scoreable from downstairs. It's just one of the, I think it's called the spring or floral kit. And I pack, it's 100 pack. I bought it ages ago and I use it a lot. So if I use it a lot and I still have this much of it left, I'm thinking that that's pretty good. So I made this 4 and not quite a quarter, kind of between 4 1/4 and 4 1/8. And I'm taking it and I'm figuring it out by layering one on top of the other because I've got separate spaces. So that means that I can be really liberal with the frame. Okay, so here we have it. And this one, you don't have anything on the butterflies to be able to really push out or push at all. I don't know that I'm saying that correctly, but we won't be using the ball tip in order to kind of puff them up like we do with all the rest, just because it's not realistic with butterflies.
Yeah, they're not puffy. They're flat by nature.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. I'm telling you guys, I'm losing my brain. Okay, here we go. Sometimes more than others. And you never know what you're going to get on any given day. So this could have been planned 3 weeks ago, and you never know what's going to come out 3 weeks later. I look at things in my head and I'll say, you know, that thingy over there. Debbie will look at me. My husband's gotten used to me by now. And he'll say, I don't know which thingy you're talking about. Oh, you know, the thingy over there. Debbie goes, I have no clue what you're talking about. It makes for interesting conversations. So I was thrilled when the Snapdragon conversation actually happened. Okay. Okay, and I already had used a couple of these on my other card, so we're just gonna keep going with some of those. So we've got the stickers. I would recommend that you try and choose the smaller of the stickers at this point. There is one that's actually on the card that I would use to make a big one with. And as you could have seen if I would have stopped and shown you, they are clear. So, except for the gold, they are an acetate type of feel. And so that also gives them the ability to be a little bit stronger. So then it can handle that 3D of standing up. Okay, we'll go down. Could even just put one right in the middle too if we wanted to. Because you've got this paper on the bottom, you can just glue it on, which is pretty neat because normally with acetate, you got to pull out the best glue ever or your clear foamies. But this is not the case because number one, it's a sticker on top of your paper, and then it's also got paper underneath it. So there's one there. And I think we'll just put one of these bigger ones right over the bottom of the big one that's down here. See how it's clear? So pretty. And in this particular case, I'm going to cut my butterfly into little pieces. That sounds horrible.
It does. Sounds very mean.
But what I want is for it to actually fit on this butterfly wing, and I can't make it fit unless I break it up a little bit because the butterfly is bigger than the sticker. But by giving it a little bit of extra, it gives it a little bit of extra. You get to turn it the way that will work the best. And because I didn't glue these down, the butterflies down, I've got a little bit of extra room now here to just kind of roll them up and over. And it should be able to hold it. If you find that it's not holding it well, it could be your moisture in your paper. And you can always put a little puffy underneath it. So I guess that's where the butterfly might be a little puffy. And then this one has a just for you on it. And I'm not sure if I like this or not. So I'm going to just be really honest. I'm unsure. I think that it should look okay, but I feel like it doesn't quite do the trick. So don't hesitate in having an opinion on this because it certainly will not hurt my feelings. I like the just for you in the hinge. I'm not sure that it works for this. So I'm going to take a couple of my butterflies and put them on the inside so that it seems to join it, and I think that that will help. I also think that it would probably have benefited me if I wouldn't have worried about doing the butterfly card stock, but oh, it's so pretty. And we've had the last couple of packs for a little while now, and they're craft style, and when they're gone, they're gone. So as you know, we're trying to make space for some of our newer things, and so it just takes a little bit of the space up. So that's all. Okay. So I am going to raise this up because you can see the butterflies through it, which is neat. Bryce, what is happening? Oh, we're continuing with the spring is in the air, right?
I believe so.
On
Saturday.
Saturday? Yeah.
I think that's the plan.
I'm not sure which one that she's planning on doing, but my guess would be it's the next one in line.
It's going to be a surprise.
I can't say that I know for positive, but I think it's going to be the boot with the kitty. That one's sweet. And maybe, not sure, the Fairy Kisses Kingdom. So I can't claim that this is exactly what she's going to do, but they are the next two in her section for classes. But she may decide, I don't really like doing both of those together. I might want to do 2 animal ones together or 2.
Roberta suggests coloring the words with a marker or some ink.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Okay. How many of these can I put on a square? A rectangle. Okay. Over there on the table, there is our surprise for next week. It's the one with the little album and the Ciao papers. There should be an A4 and a should be right in front, I believe, on the table where I was working earlier. Yes. Thank you. I thought that I had set it aside. Okie dokie. And this is the last little bit, and we are done. And thank you for taking a little bit of extra time with me. I appreciate it. All right. So before we continue is with what we're doing next week, I will tell you that if you want me to do the butterfly packs and break those up so that we have a few extra, and I got 5 takers, then I will break them up. If not, they will stay the same, and I'll put them back into inventory as soon as we're done. So, do I have 5 takers? Hey, it feels like an auction. Go,
Going once, going twice.
I really do love them. Really, really do.
Double hearts from Mary.
So here's our butterfly one.
Back up a little bit.
Isn't that pretty? It really brought out so many dimensions by changing that up. And I think personally that there needs to be like a little gold sticker here, like maybe thank you or happy Easter, something that you can do. Let your dreams fly. We have some of those inspirational words in rectangle shapes right now from Creative Expressions, and you can totally use those. Yes, Irene, I agree. The gold stickers make it just pop, doesn't it? And honestly, if I had not shared the one section for the 2 cards, if I would have cut actually 4 instead of just 3, I probably would have had a little bit more of the gold butterflies on here, but I do like it. So thank you for the compliment. And I will come back and show you my glossy accents 3D lacquer. So it's still probably going to be slightly tacky to the touch, but not much. And it held its form. It doesn't run everywhere. And then if you look at the little bee wings, Isn't that sweet? And these are the dragonflies with the twinkle on it. It will come in there. There we go. So you can see how you can make either of your, wrong way, make either of your wings look almost see-through, which is what you would normally see in life. I can't wait to start seeing some dragonflies. Just you wait. Spring's around the corner. It's supposed to have already happened. Still snowing last week. I think that it forgot. That is right. It's all groundhog's fault. Okay. Okay, so I have started it, and all I have to say, thank you, Mary R. All I have to say is that it's got a bird on it. So Debbie goes, would you like to do that one? Would that be a good one? And I went, yes, thank you.
It's got a bird on it.
It's got a bird on it. We're good to go. So it has a front and back to the album. These are the album pages that are inside. Of course, they're upside down, back, forth. Nope. This would be that I still need to paint this side. Yeah, I painted the wrong side, folks. This could be a lot of fun.
Maybe we'll start out with trees.
Maybe we'll start out this way. So here's our trees on one side of the album and this on the other. And it has a total of 6 pages inside, which will make it 14 for doing 2 sides on. And it is going to be an album. What kind of album? I'm not sure yet, but I will tell you right now. And these are a nice, heavy, thick chipboard. It's not going anywhere. Book. And I really do like it a lot. So we have our Sparrow Hill. And I know that you probably saw these a while ago when we put them in. We actually, yes, Irene, put a bird on it. Oh, I'm so totally going to put birds all over it. Let me tell you. But when we got these in, it was a little while ago. So I think that it was like in January, but we knew that we were going to be doing this because we had ordered the album boards even before then. So we're going to use these pages. They are double-sided, so you get to guess as to which page I'm going to use where. So lots of really pretty, springy, entering into summer looks. Okay, I have to say this is probably my favorite one right there. It's definitely going in, folks. Got that one. Put it on the back. And then we have some border papers that go with it. Or, excuse me, background papers that go with it. So rather than using our backgrounds and not being able to use our pretties, we're going to go ahead and do both the 12 by 12 pack. So the 12 by 12 pack, that's the last one. The 12 by 12 pack is one each 12 double-sided papers. So there are 12 pages in this one. And then our backgrounds that we have that match are one each of 8 double-sided pages. and the patterns on these reflect some of the other prints that are in not only this pack, but also in our A4 pack. So this is the way that I'm going to explain it. So here's one. I have some ability to make 3D and make pockets and tags and things like that inside the album with these two pads. However, the sizes are a little bit bigger, but at the same time, they will work well with the album that we have. So what we're going to do is that we are going to take a couple of our A4 pads and break them up so no one will get quite the exact same papers. We've done it before this way and it has worked out well, because in the A4s, almost everything in these are little tags. So we'll have similar ones, and it will come with a few, enough to get you and make you an album, and we'll try and be as fair when we break it up as possible. But it's just full of little tags, sayings, you name it. So I think that we're going to go ahead and throw a few of these sheets in, because if we don't, I think that you're missing out a little bit, and I don't want you to miss out, but we also want to make sure that our cost is fair to you guys. I do not have a cost yet. I cannot tell you how much that's going to work. Frame that page. Which page?
All of them.
And so with that in mind, like I said, we don't have a price yet, but we are going to be starting it on Thursday. Debbie and I, now that I've had the chance to look and work with it a little bit, we are going to sit down and set up the price and get them all set up before I leave today. So by tomorrow morning,
A multi-class project.
it is a multi-class project. It's going to be happening this next Thursday and the following Thursday. Now that's really horrible because I have no calendar in front of me. So can you help me out with that? Now I do. So the 6th and the 11th. Nope.
6 and 13.
6th and 13th. Bryce is forwarding through crazily. Okay. So it will be April 6th and April 13th. And we'll be doing this bird album. I am going to have a lot of fun. I'm taking it home. The floral wreath page with the family sentiment. Yes, I would agree. That is a beautiful one to frame. I did look at that idea too. Which one should I be framing? Because there are some really pretty papers in here. So we are going to have a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to doing it. And I think that that's it. Does anybody have any questions? I guess maybe, maybe not. And I saw one request for the butterfly cards. So two. Okay. So since we have 2, we'll be leaving it in just the regular 2, and you guys will get the last of it. So it is $7.99, and you get 10 cards for the $7.99, and you will have a blast with the pack, and then there are no more. So have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next Thursday. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.